So the question for Cole Strange is how quickly will he acclimate to that jump in level of competition and playing at the NFL level. Kyle Krabs of the Draft Network here with everything you need to know about the New England Patriots 2022 NFL Draft Class. The Patriots entered this offseason looking to regain their footing as a playoff contender after being rapidly bounced from the AFC playoffs this past postseason at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. The way the team chose to attack this draft was by drafting to replace players lost through the offseason. So Bill Belichick and company very much looking to build through the draft. Let's take a look at the players that they picked and the expectations we should have for them in year one. At pick 29, after trading back, the Patriots drafted one of the surprises of the first round in UT Chattanooga's Cole Strange. But regardless of how he may have been perceived to be a reach, I expect Cole Strange to start right away and be a quality starter on the offensive line for the New England Patriots. He's somebody who certainly has the athleticism, the upward mobility in his development, and lots of untapped potential coming from UT Chattanooga. And he really flashed against some of the better teams that were on the schedule that Chattanooga played this past season. So the question for Cole Strange is how quickly will he acclimate to that jump in level of competition and playing at the NFL level. But he will start right away. At pick 50, the Patriots drafted TYQUAN Thornton, the wide receiver out of Baylor. Thornton is a bit lean, but he is very much a speedster. He's the fastest wide receiver at the 2022 NFL Combine. And with the Patriots looking to establish the run, Thornton has the ability to stretch the field vertically and allow the Patriots to build in some play-action shot plays off of their ability to establish the run. Now, his ability to handle physicality on the outside is going to be a question, as Thornton does not have a lot of physicality to his frame at this point in time, and his game needs more of that for him to be able to consistently stack and beat press coverage to the line of scrimmage. But I would expect, despite the addition of Devontae Parker this offseason and the presence of Nelson Aguilar, that TYQUAN Thornton, as a top 50 pick, is going to get reasonable run in the New England Patriots offense. It just might not be a lot of high-volume targets because of how the offense is structured. At pick 85, the Patriots drafted Houston cornerback Marcus Jones. Marcus Jones, if he was 6 feet tall and 195 pounds, probably would have been a top 50 selection himself. His tape is really, really good. I expect him to compete for reps at the nickel early on, as the question for him is how well he's going to be able to defend on the outside against more dynamic height, weight, speed, competitive wide receivers. Now, interestingly enough, in the AFC East, you do have speedsters like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and the Buffalo Bills have Stephon Diggs, who certainly has plenty of speed and twitch in his game as well. So perhaps that's part of the vision for the New England Patriots, but with J.C. Jackson leaving this offseason, expect Marcus Jones to hit the ground running and get reasonable reps for the Patriots early on. The Patriots double-dipped at corner with Jack Jones from Arizona State at 121, their first of 3 picks in the 4th round, and my expectations for Jack Jones pretty closely mirror that of Marcus Jones. I think those two guys are going to be competing against one another for primary reps in the nickel and potentially, depending on the matchups on any given week, shadowing some guys or playing outside against teams that have more speed at the wide receiver position. The Patriots, with their first of 2 running backs at pick 127, with PIERRE Jr. from South Dakota State. This is a really good football player. The question, of course, with this selection is, did the Patriots need to draft a running back? Well, if they're not planning on retaining Damian Harris and extending him with a new contract, then the answer is probably yes. But that means PIERRE Jr. is probably going to be playing a minimized role in the Patriots offense in year one. I expect him to be a depth player who contributes on special teams, and maybe some passing down and distances. You'll see him get on the field to contribute in the passing game. But I don't expect that, based on the presence of Damian Harris, that PIERRE is going to get a high volume of touches for the Patriots this year, despite being a 4th round draft selection. Bailey Zappe, the quarterback from Western Kentucky, was another surprise for the Patriots. They drafted him at 137 overall to presumably serve as the backup to Mac Jones. Because the Patriots drafted Mac Jones, and Mac Jones was the permanent starter last year, and the Patriots are looking to build upon that rookie season, Don't expect to see Bailey Zappe unless things go very wrong for the Patriots this season. And that's probably some of the questions that some people have with this Patriots draft class, is the fact that between Pierre Strong and Bailey Zappe and their next draft choice, although that comes in the 6th round, these are players that probably aren't going to be seeing a lot of the field early on. The Patriots drafting for need top to bottom, but they have young players in place at some of the positions that they targeted in the 4th round. Running back Kevin Harris from South Carolina at pick 183. This is the backup, the long-term backup plan for your between the tackles runner, which is what Damian Harris really is. So the Patriots may be setting themselves up for another running back by committee down the line, but I don't expect you'll see Kevin Harris commanding snaps unless you see significant injuries in the Patriots backfield this upcoming offseason. I expect him to serve as an RB3 or an RB4 and a backup. At pick 200, the Patriots drafted Northwestern Missouri State defensive lineman Sam Roberts. Expect to see him pursue opportunities as a penetration sub-package defender who can get on the field on passing down and distances to utilize his athleticism, but I wouldn't expect to see him on the early downs. CHASEN, HINES, the offensive lineman from LSU, drafted at 210. Likewise, you expect to see him serve as a utility interior offensive lineman in a backup role, somebody who can play multiple spots inside and perhaps eat up one of those late roster spots, because if he is able to fill more than one spot, you don't have to carry so many offensive linemen on your 53-man roster. And with pick 245, the Patriots drafted offensive tackle Andrew Stueber from Michigan. This is very much a Patriots-type player and offensive lineman. He has size, he has length, he has some good push in the run game, but his ability to consistently pass protect is going to be where he needs to find his footing. And Stueber was somebody at the Senior Bowl who actually took some reps inside at guard. I did not think he showcased himself particularly well there. I do like him better at tackle long term. But the Patriots have a developmental tackle on their hands who has the raw ability in the run game to really help create some push. And for an offense that is as dedicated to running the football as almost any other team in the NFL, it makes sense for him landing with the Patriots at 245. That is the Patriots draft class. Make sure you hit subscribe on the channel so you can keep tabs on all 32 NFL draft classes and your expectations for them. I'm Kyle Krabs, and make sure you visit thedraftnetwork.com for all your college football, NFL, and NFL draft needs.